Welcome to Go Lurk Yourself, a bi-weekly podcast about streaming on the internet. My name is Crunky.
And I am Cherry Cake. We aim to bring you regular interviews with your favourite streamers to find out more on the person behind the screen.
To give you more inside look into how they got started, what their goals are, and what keeps them coming back to stream.
And today we're speaking with Bshiv, a variety game streamer who lives in Canada, originally from New York.
Welcome to the show, Bshiv. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thanks. You guys can reach Bshiv at twitch.tv/BSHIV. Do you want to tell us the origin of that name and what got you into streaming?
Well, my name is Brandon, and when I was in high school, I was one of the only kids that fenced, and I kind of got a name of myself at the club that I fenced at because we were pretty good club, and essentially we had a slang term for stabbing somebody in the wrist with the weapon that I would use, which was an epee, and you'd stab somebody in a wrist, and we'd call it a shiv, and that was my signature move. So, because my name was so long, there was just a giant B on the back of my tunic because it wouldn't fit like my full name, and then the shiv came in once that was like kind of coined as my signature move.
So, just so I'm clear, fencing is in sword fighting, right?
Yes.
I'm so uncivilized, I had to ask to be sure.
Who gave you the name Bshiv? Did you make that up yourself, or did the other people that you were with give you that?
Well, my nickname in high school or middle school was BJ because that was my initials. And obviously, once you hit a certain age, obviously that's like, oh no, you can't have that name because, and it just kind of got coined by a bunch of kids in my school. Because there was I coached at the gym by my school, so a couple obviously kids would see me there fencing all the time, and they'd stop in and watch, and they kind of picked it up, and it kind of just spread. I had nothing to do with the nickname itself, so it just stuck, and I liked it because it's short.
Well, that's cool.
That is cool.
So what got you interested in streaming from the get-go? Like, did you come to Twitch first? Did you used to watch it on YouTube? I mean, what got you started?
Well, when I was young, I would spend a lot of time with a camera trying to, this was before YouTube was really a thing, and I would do everything. I would dabble in stop motion or recording of just the TV with the camera, and I always was fascinated with the YouTube side. So when I went to college or in high school, I learned how to edit. I was like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Essentially my goal was to become a YouTuber, and I decided to just try out Twitch one day because I was watching a couple streams just to check it out, and it kind of stuck more, and I preferred it more than YouTube. So,
oh, that's cool. So how long have you been at it?
Well, my Twitch channel, my first stream was November 2015, and so I've been at it a year and a half almost.
And what would you say, what do you get out of it, or what's the best part of streaming in your mind?
The community, for sure. It's every time I start stream, and despite who shows up, who doesn't, it's just always enjoyment to me that people stop by and say hello or whatever. And it's also really fun to just, if something happens on stream, it's there. You could play games by yourself all the time and something cool might happen. No one's there to see it. At least here it's kind of saved.
I've seen the countless clips of the crazy stuff that happens in PUBG, for example. Is a pretty good testament to that.
So I've seen a couple of your streams, Bshiv, but obviously the time difference is a bit of an awkward issue for me. But I've seen the target audience, from what I've gathered anyway, is it's quite young. So in your mind, what was your initial target audience to what you've actually managed to cultivate right now?
My initial idea was going to be a bunch of kids in college, because that's when right when I ended college, I thought it was going to be literally people like me. It was going to be 20-year-old dudes just looking to watch somebody that can make them laugh or whatever. I actually have more female fan base than guy fan base and younger fan base. So it was totally different than I expected. But then again, I prefer the community that I established because it's so diverse, and it's more surprising to me to see that, oh, these people are also enjoying my content. I thought I was going to be one demographic and just a one note kind of streamer, but now I got a little bit of everybody.
That's really cool. It's nice that you can reach a broad demographic. In regards to your target audience, when you're streaming, do you stream so it copes with that specific audience, or do you just tend to play whatever you feel like playing?
I stream whatever I feel like playing, to be honest. Sometimes I'll go out of my way and stream the popular games that got me there, because each streamer has the games that like kind of where they get their fan base. And that mine was originally Animal Crossing, but I haven't touched that in a while. So now it's like it's kind of waves. So people will come in for Animal Crossing content. If I'm not streaming it, they'll leave. If I switch games to something like Tamagotchi Life, they would find that content entertaining and then stay or leave depending on the game.
Do you find people that come in to see one specific game, say if you don't, or if they wanted to see Animal Crossing but you aren't streaming it, do you find anybody that will stay around for what you're streaming?
Yes, and that's what makes the community so awesome, because my original viewers that are still around today were only there for Pokemon, and then they'll stay for everything and enjoy anything that I stream, like PUBG or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely, I've noticed in, just the short time I've been streaming, I'm not nowhere as far along as you, but you'll have a good thing going, and then you'll stream a game that nobody wants to see, and bam, it's crickets for days.
I've seen that with really big streams as well, though, because they built, like Bshiv was saying, they built a community around one particular game, and if you're not streaming that, then they don't want to see it.
Exactly. So, given that, with your experience, Bshiv, what would you recommend to others that are starting out if they're new? How would you recommend them to focus on a game to start with for a length of time, or just to keep rotating in and out and build that way?
It depends how rapid you want your growth. If you stick with one game, you'll absorb that whole community and you'll grow really fast. That's why streams that you'll see like, 24 hours of this game only, and they tend to usually grow a big following from that. It's just they're absorbing everybody in that community. And the downside to that is you're stuck with it. If you, at least early on, if you're streaming a bunch of things early on, you're going to adapt a community that's more flexible in what you stream. But if you are strictly doing one game and one game only, you're going to get a bunch of fans that are just there for the game. So that's kind of what happened with me for Animal Crossing, and I kind of shut it down because my first few months of streaming, I really was into Animal Crossing and I was enjoying playing it. And then obviously I got burnt out on it. So I went and started switching games, and I noticed I was losing some people. But then I would variety it enough that I was absorbing new people, and the other people coming in were kind of more acceptable to change. It's funny because I'm a mod for a couple other Animal Crossing streamers, and I'll see viewers I had like a year ago and I haven't seen them, and they're very active in their chats. So people are just there for some games and some games alone. So if you want to be able to change, I say do it as early as you can.
So you talked about a little bit about Animal Crossing. Is that the kind of genre that you tend to go for, or was it just that Animal Crossing that you just started with, just as a base point?
Well, I am fortunate enough to have this super rare 3DS capture card. There's other ways around it, but I have essentially the rarest one that everyone looks out for because it's top quality. So when I started streaming, it was mostly just 3DS games because only a few streamers had it. So me being a newcomer with one of these, it kind of
gave you an angle, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And Animal Crossing just happened to be a game that I could play with my viewers. I can keep it going every day because something new is happening every day. And it just something that stuck. And then it kind of was a bunch of Nintendo games, obviously, because of 3DS. And my capture card was busted, so it was just 3DS and PC games for the longest time, and that's kind of.
Well, I've noticed too that you do a really good job of integrating your fans into your games and play the type of games that allow you to do that. I mean, I was watching your stream just the other day, and I turned it on. I was on the background while I was like making coffee or something, and I hear my name. I'm like, what the hell? How did they even know I'm here? Because you normally don't call out lurkers, but you had named me the bad guy in Metopia after
Oh, wait, the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm like the evil overlord in Metopia, and he does, and all the people in his party, like he'll start a new game and he'll have all his regulars as characters, and you did that in Animal Crossing and countless games I can't even recall. But what about in your own life when you're not streaming? I think I remember you saying on one of your streams it used to be pretty hardcore competitive first person shooter.
Yes, and I played many many shooters competitively, and other strategy games competitively as well. Some of them being Left 4 Dead and Gears of War, where I actually would win prizes and money online, and actually was nationally or globally ranked pretty high.
So a couple times I've noticed that you've streamed with your wife on screen, and as well as Cherry knows that my wife and I will stream on screen together too, and it can be a lot of fun. Talk to us about that. What do you guys? Does she enjoy it? Do you enjoy having her on there a lot? I know she doesn't do it every day, but is it something you guys enjoy doing together? And did you game before you streamed together?
Yes, actually, that's where me and my wife met. We met on Left 4 Dead 1, and we knew each other for like 7 years before we actually randomly decided to meet halfway in Rochester. So we were very avid gamers. She is a very hardcore N64, NES, SNES kind of gamer. She literally picked up Donkey Kong 64 and like beat it within the day, 100% almost. So she's a very avid gamer. And when we stream, it's literally just us normally on a couch playing games, despite the camera being there or not. It's just I'm engaging the chat on the side because she's a better gamer than me. So
she takes 99% concentration. I watched her play. You think you guys were playing Donkey Kong Country, and you're like, "Here, I can't get past this spot." And you gave her the controller.
We have our strengths and weaknesses. She is very good at platformers. I cannot do platformers unless it's a Sony era platformer, or 3D platformers. But we have our strengths and weaknesses. She's okay with shooters. I'm obviously the shooter guru, but throw her on any classic game, she'll whip my butt.
So, one single question for you, Bshiv. Describe your ideal stream.
Well, I try to stream the content that I would like to watch. So, obviously not every stream's perfect, and something, if I look back on that, I was like, that was stupid to do or whatever. My perfect stream is just everybody laughing or having a good time. Like I'm there for the comedy, or at least the feel good aspect of it. If people are upset, then I'm not doing my job. Like, despite what happened in their day, if I could put a smile on their face, that's my end game goal.
So that kind of moves us into our next topic. And what we like to look for in this area is kind of what benefits has streaming brought to you in real life? Does it give you anything that you didn't expect in your real life outside of streaming, like confidence or work ethic or a sense of accomplishment?
It definitely adds to the confidence value, because now I feel like I used to hate, and I still kind of do, but like picking up the phone, I don't like talking on the phone, or I would always kind of get slightly nervous around like just checking out at the grocery store. But right. Due to streaming, it's no problem now, it's because I'm always engaging people despite them just being via messages. But it's definitely added to confidence. It's definitely added to my work ethic, because like I'll get up and I'll do like 100 more things than I would have normally done if I just had the day off of work,
Right. I know exactly what you mean. It's like, I got to stream later, so I got to get all this crap done now.
Exactly.
So on the flip side of that, if that was the benefit, what is the negative impact that's had?
Sleep schedule is one of them. I tend to oversleep a lot more now because I stream late hours.
You stream like 2 a.m. I've seen.
Yeah, that's why I never get to see your streams.
Yeah, it's just when I find time, I try to stream. But it's the sleep schedule. It's also kind of an addiction in the sense, not like a bad addiction, but like my wife will be like, "Oh, let's go to the in-laws for dinner," and then I don't mind going to their house for dinner, but on the other hand, I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to be late to stream," and that kind of upsets me a little bit. Like, it's not a bad upset, but it's more of like it's kind of like if I don't stream that day, I kind of feel at a loss.
It's like, honey, it's not that I don't like your family. It's just that I like streaming a little bit more.
I know Crunk has talked to me about this before in relation to streaming schedule and how it makes you feel and stuff. Because I remember you talking to me about a certain streamer, and you're saying she doesn't particularly want to do it, but when she has done it, it makes her feel really good about doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to several people about it, about the influence of streaming, what it does to them, including, my wife is one, a couple of other friends of mine, and I've actually had it myself, where you feel that sense of accomplishment, and and it also can interfere with your family life. And there's a stigma, I think, to video games especially people of my generation, but even more so, like if you're people who don't game, don't understand the commitment to it. They're like, we could just do that whenever. Like, no, I've got people counting on me to be there.
Yeah, I also get the fact sometimes get, gaming doesn't have any positive effects on you. It's just a waste of time.
Do you run into conflicts with the family when it comes to streaming, B?
I come from two very old-fashioned aunts. They never really understood gaming, and there was always the awkward, like, what are you doing with your life? Or not awkward, but the annoying, what are you doing with your life conversations? And I've always just kind of had the I don't give a frick kind of mentality to what you guys think. So it never really hindered me from that kind of stuff, but I do get the occasional judgment, especially up here when Jamie explains to some of her friends that, like, that's what he does. They kind of like, oh, well, why aren't you doing like they want me to work at like a manufacturing plant or be a factory worker.
Go and get a real job.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And even though it's not, it's easy to consciously say, that's something, that's their problem. They don't understand. But it's also a real life thing when you have to have that conversation routinely and sit down with people who are like looking down their nose at you a bit and just be like, oh, this crap again. Well, speaking of irritating things, let's talk about Splatoon 2.
Yay!
Bshiv and I both have Nintendo Switches, and we play it on the regular with a group of people, and it's been pretty entertaining to watch each other's streams and hear and have the dialogue. And this is the soapbox section of the podcast, so we'd love to hear your opinions about it, B, and how you really feel on the inside about
it. It's oh god,
sorry.
So Splatoon 2 just had its, technically first Splatfest because the other one was in the test fire or whatever. But I decided, hey, why not just go and just play it? Give it a full chance. Just play Splatfest till I hit the highest rank for the Splatfest. And it took me about 3 hours, and I decided to turn it into a science experiment. I put the sniper down, which is my favorite weapon because I find it the most rewarding and the most fun. Right. And I switched to an arrow spray, and oh boy, I was cackling and having a good time at like 3 a.m. I'm
going to do a quick translation, just in case there's people who don't know what it is. That there's different kinds of guns in the game, and some of them are better at killing, some of them are better at covering ink. And it's a game where covering ink wins, but if you kill the other person, the time they lose is when in respawning slows them down. So the game isn't balanced as a typical shooter. There's a lot of things like you expect a sniper to be really good at killing people, and generally it's not. It's usually the other weapons that are better.
Yeah, so I decided to just stick with the what I called the most overpowered weapon, and it was a lot of fun. I felt like I was cheating the system. I felt like it was ridiculous in that sense. But then I was doing a little science experiment with it, and we won like mostly every game. But every game we lost, there was always one person with the paint bucket on their team, which is a crazy powerful weapon that it doesn't lack balancing. Like you'd think something with a lot of range and a lot of speed would do less damage, but no, it does like the most damage, and it covers so much. And it just, after a while, you start seeing that the game itself lacks balance. And I don't think you could have an online shooter without balance, and balancing is key in a lot of games. So yeah.
So has that changed your opinion on the game? Because I know that you weren't the biggest fan of it when it first came out.
I mean, I disliked the game completely, especially after last night. It was just, I was having mindless fun with it for like the first time, because I actually put down the weapon that I like to use and try to better myself at using, and use the weapon that is quote unquote the meta that everyone uses.
So, you said you've been streaming for about a year and a half, and you've learned a lot of lessons along the way. If you could like jump in a time machine and go grab yourself before the first stream, what would you say and why?
Increase your production value. I mean, like, not production value per se, but like my first layout was complete trash, and I had no notifications or anything like that. I would just change things to try to make it look fresh. Like I kind of had one of the duller layouts, and yeah, I would just go back and focus a little bit more on just making like layouts a little bit better and have a lot more so I can transition between things, like so I'm not on the spot. There's streams of me like, oh, I'm about to play this game, let me take 2 seconds to make a bootleg layout, and I load up a Google image and I put the screen over it and all that stuff. So I would say take the time to make your stream look nice. Like my stream doesn't even have the bottom boxes. I would like to take time to make it look nice,
There's a value in having it done beforehand, you're saying?
Yeah, it's like right now, it's just a beat up shack looking on the outside. You come on in and it's like, oh, that's pretty nice in here. Well, let's make the outside value look nice too,
Yeah, I can see that.
We just talked about your layout there. How did you come up with the logo, the current logo that you have? Was it something that you designed yourself?
Yes, and I do know Photoshop. I mean, I'm not that good at it. I know it more from a photographer sense. So if you give me a picture, I'll make it look nice, But creating things from scratch, I'm not that good at. But I've learned over the years. And the logo that I have right now is the letter B within a pitfall, which is an object in Animal Crossing that once buried, if your character walks over it, it makes you fall, like the pitfalls from the game Pitfall. So it became a meme in my chat when people, because I'd open up my gates and people would randomly come, they would hide these all around my town. So I'd start falling in them all the time. I started to keep a track, and the joke was, because I only had like 100 followers at the time, maybe 200, was if my pitfall counter surpassed my follower count, that is the day I stopped streaming. And luckily, I kind of kept the followers coming in, and the pitfalls a little less and less. So it's just a pitfall with the letter B on it, and then obviously just Bshiv in my favorite color scheme, black, blue, and white.
Nice. Okay, so we've got, you can do a tiny little advertisement for yourself, for your channel here. For people that haven't seen your stream, what would you say to them to entice them to check you out?
If you're looking for some lighthearted fun with a lot of ranting, a lot of joking. So if you're looking for a good laugh, and you can accept that everything out of my mouth is kind of going to be either a joke or tongue-in-cheek. So come on and stop by. And I now have the capability to literally stream anything. So if you'd like to see it, I'll be more than welcome to try it out on stream.
Do you have, are you active on Twitter? Is that the best way to reach out to you?
I mean, I'm not as active that I should be on Twitter, but I do get notifications. That would probably be the best way. I mean, it's Bshiv Games, BSHIVGAMEES.
I think that's it, unless Bshiv has something else.
If you do ever plan on streaming, just keep streaming. Just despite what happens, pretend you're streaming to 100 people, and when you're streaming to none, just keep it going. Have a good time with it. Don't get discouraged. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Bshiv, for joining us. And thank you to everyone for listening.
Yeah, catch us here next time. Our goal is to have this out every 2 weeks. So please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on iTunes or wherever you download it. Share it with a friend or two. It would make a big impact on our podcast, and we will see you guys next time.